What is going on, YouTube? Coming back with my final college football preview of the day, and that is my Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets football preview for 2016. So Georgia Tech coming off one of the most disappointing seasons that any team had last year. They were I think they were top 15 heading into the season last year. Ended up finishing the season 3-9, 1-7, good for 7th in the ACC Coastal Division. So start with the first of my three key players. I'm going to start with the quarterback, Justin Thomas. So after coming off just a great 2014 season, Justin Thomas was even hailed by some as a Heisman dark horse for last year. Georgia Tech at one point was also considered to be a college football playoff dark horse. But, obviously all that kind of fell through. The offense only averaged about 250, 255 rushing yards per game, their lowest total in a while. And again, Justin Thomas, I think he's just got to be better this year. He averaged 3.4 yards per passing attempt. Just not going to get it done for a team that, had ACC Coastal Division title expectations last year. So my second key player is Patrick Gamble, probably the best returning player along this defensive line. A defensive line that loses one of the best defensive tackles in the conference, and that is Adam Gotsis when going to the NFL draft. So that's going to hurt. But Gamble, one of the most talented players, or I think one of the most talented defensive tackles in the ACC. So see if he can have a big 2016. My third key player is probably the best linebacker that Georgia Tech has, and that's P.J. Davis. Leading tackler over the last two seasons, almost 200 tackles over the last 2 years. He'll be relied upon to be able to lead this linebacking core that, is pretty young, I'll be honest. Starting opposite Brant Mitchell, a sophomore. So see if he can be all that and more again in 2016. So the first of my two X factors is pretty simple, but it's just offense. The offense needs to be better. I mentioned this before. It mainly falls on the back of Justin Thomas, but there's three running backs that are going to have to be big too. Mainly Marcus Marshall and Clinton Lynch, but Quay Searcy, all three sophomores are going to have to be big. At wide receiver, Ricky June will have to be able to lead the receiving corps to at least be good when they get the chance to get the ball. So my second X factor is turnovers. This is a team that generated 29 turnovers in 2014, which is a pretty good number, and then dropped all the way to 17 in 2015. Again, if they want to be as successful as they were in 2014 or even close, the offense is going to have to get better. The turnover numbers are going to have to go back up to what they were. So my trap game for Georgia Tech is Georgia Southern. I'm not sure if they're going to be favored heading into that game or not, but Georgia Southern, a very similar team and a very good team at that. One of the better teams outside the Power 5, and it comes in a time after Jesus Christ, Georgia Tech has 3 tough ACC games in a row against Clemson, Miami, and Pitt, so overlooking Georgia Southern could be a problem. So getting into my biggest game for Georgia Tech, this one's hard because it's hard to predict what type of season they're going to have. I'm not going to say North Carolina because I don't think they're going to contend for the ACC Coastal title this year, but I think they could contend for a bowl game, and I think Virginia Tech's going to be a big game for them. It's really their last big conference game of the year, and I think it could have a huge say in where they finish in the Coastal and whether they will be in a bowl game. So my record prediction for Georgia Tech, I think they're going to end up going 5-7 this year. I think improvement's almost impossible not to have this year, at least in my mind. It's still a tough schedule this year. They get Boston College to start the year. I think they could very easily start out the year 3-0. Vanderbilt might be a tough game at Boston College. Who knows? That game is in Dublin, so that's a cool little game there. But anyway, they could very well end up losing the next 4 or 5, even 6 games in a row after that if they can't get it together compared to last year. Virginia game at the end of the year should be able to give them a little bit of breathing room, maybe an extra win to lead them into a bowl game. But either way, they finish off the season with Georgia too, so that's a tough game as well. So that pretty much wraps up my Georgia Tech preview for 2016. I'll be coming back tomorrow with Boise State, Syracuse, and Boston College, so staying in the ACC for a little bit. That's pretty much it. See ya.